My grandfather died on a Thursday. I got the call while I was at work. They say that on days like that, tiny details stick in your mind, like what color your shoes were or what you had for breakfast, but I don't even remember what the weather was like. I'm sure it didn't rain. I knew I was supposed to be sad, but somehow I couldn't bring myself to mourn him, probably because I had been doing it for years. The day I started was the day he called me up and asked about the weather 3 times in a span of 10 minutes. "It's cloudy, Grandpa," I said. "It's cloudy, it's cloudy," the same way I told him my name a year and 10 minutes later, and that was when I put my black dress on hold. Started picking flowers for his grave. I practiced forgetting. Rehearsed fading him out of my memory, the way he let me go from his, as if it was his fault. As if he could call me back if he really wanted to, as if he hadn't tried hard enough to remember me. As if that meant he was no longer worth remembering. I packed him up in a box and shoved him in the back of the attic behind that old 7th grade science project. He fit there, right between the other things I couldn't talk about, like my mother crying and long-gone pets I still miss. I pressed him in a book, tried to pretend he had always fit between the pages, that it wasn't a big deal, that he had forgotten how to eat, that he had gotten so skinny. I wonder if he looked at himself in the mirror and wondered why he was so skinny. I can't remember if we bothered to tell him. When he came for Grandparents' Day, he used to nudge me and joke about how little hair he had left. He was the funny one, full of puns and word plays, used to squeeze fresh orange juice every morning when we visited, smiled at me even when my parents were fighting. 2 years ago, we went Hallmark shopping and tried to find a birthday card with a joke he would still understand. Celebrated his birthday on Thanksgiving because he didn't know the difference. He smiled anyway. I drank coffee instead of orange juice. See, forgetting is a bandwagon that is all too easy to jump on, maybe because it looks a lot like memory. It is the biggest float at the parade, all banners and balloons, but building someone a memorial is a lot like leaving them behind. We left him behind, like an apple core on the side of the highway, like picking out his old stationery to bring home, like only asking about him once a year. We forgot him like cassette tapes we couldn't play in our cars anymore. It was easier not to buy the adapter, cheaper to buy sweatpants, to fit his clothes hanger body, to talk about him when he was still in the room and portion out his old things like something to remember him by. Ever since the diagnosis, we had been carving his headstone out of photographs and Thanksgivings, the only things he was still a part of. We buried him long ago under 6 feet of bed sheets and caretakers and insurance policies. He became a question with only one answer, so eventually we stopped asking. We watched disease eat away at him, carving us out of his head like a jack-o'-lantern, a face we were too afraid to look at. But when Halloween was over, we left him out to rot as we cleaned out his office and sent fruit baskets and picked flowers, because to us, he was already dead. We were just waiting for the funeral.